Welcome back to another episode of Connectable. This week, Deb is also back, which is exciting. Deb's joining us again.
Yes.
And we also have an awesome guest. She is a mom, an entrepreneur, an influencer, probably a lot of other things that I don't have room to list here. Erin Salvetti, how's it going?
Hi, great. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I listed a couple of the things that you do, but I feel like you do so much. And so it's like I can't even list it all in your intro. So we'll jump into some of that, but we're just really excited to have you on the podcast. We've been following you for quite a while. The way we like to start the podcast off is by explaining how we're connected to our guests because it's called Connectable. And I was talking to my wife. I'm like, how are we connected with you besides social media? And I think when you look at some of our common connections, we've had some of the people that you know on our show before. The first person that comes to mind is Rob Wesley
Oh, yeah,
over
of
at
course.
Restore, and I
Uh-huh.
think I started seeing you in some of their like some of their stuff. I'm like, oh, and then I saw somebody else we follow. You were in their stuff. So I feel like you just pop up everywhere. So it just shows how influential you are.
Oh my gosh. It's funny you say that because I just dropped my daughter off at soccer practice yesterday and I did a YouTube commercial for like a medical spa up here. And the mom was listening to a YouTube like ocean sounds. And all of a sudden at like 1 a.m. that commercial popped on her YouTube and she's like, I heard your voice at like 1 a.m. So like, oh my God, how annoying. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's so
But
funny.
it's
And
fun though.
that's cool. Well, like I said, it just shows how influential you are, and you have a really solid following on Instagram, and we'll jump into all of that. But anyways, that's how we're connected. So
I
um,
love it.
now I'm going to be quiet and let you talk. Like who is Erin Salvetti in a nutshell? Just give us a little background.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, I have two kids and a dog, and I've been married for we just celebrated 15 years. I am not from the Sacramento area, but I'm from San Luis Obispo, and so I was born and raised there. My parents own and operate since 1981 a chain of health clubs. So that's how I kind of got my start in the fitness industry. It's kind of, I guess you could say, in my blood. Um, and then, but I was always a dancer growing up, danced competitively, and took my life to San Diego, went to college down there, and was able to be on the San Diego State dance team. And I also tried out for the San Diego State or San Diego Chargers. And so I was a Charger cheerleader for about 3 years. And then got my start in like the corporate world and then really kind of worked my way back into the fitness industry because I felt like that was really my heart and soul. I got married and then kind of discovered this bar program or the bar workout if you're familiar with bar BARE. So I would take different classes and then realize like I wanted to do things a little bit differently. And so I created my own bar program where I was able to train and certify instructors to teach my bar connect in their home locations. And so that went throughout the state of California into a couple other states and also over like international. And then at the start, so then I was teaching in person for about 20 plus years. At the start of the pandemic, obviously with the shutdown, I went completely virtual. And for like the whole, the really hardcore lockdown was about, I think, 16 weeks or so. And for those exact 16 weeks, the whole time I was doing live Instagram workouts. So created kind of a cool following with that and cool connection. People told me like, oh my gosh, because of your Instagram live classes, I know what day of the week it is during the pandemic. So then from there, I just pivoted completely online and realized there was such a need for home workouts and just connecting people, not only in my backyard, but really, across the world. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm on an app and you can get workouts from me on demand, anywhere from 5 to 55 minute classes. And then just recently, this last weekend, I co-hosted a women's wellness retreat that my girlfriend and I completely created from scratch. And it was just beyond my wildest dreams. That's kind of a new endeavor that we embarked on and just finished up.
Wow. I want to go on that wellness retreat. Is it too late to
Deb, we are already planning for next 2024. So I'm gonna let you know about it.
Okay. How fun. That's so cool.
It was awesome. And I just think like the 9 to 5 job is amazing and great, but I also think that there's so many different avenues now and so many tools that we're given to be able to just pivot and like create this new adventures and stuff. So we're just kind of rolling with it and just seeing where it lands, and it landed like amazingly. So hoping to keep it going.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So I've taken some bar classes before.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm just not flexible at all. So,
Yeah.
I was like,
That's okay. Bar can help with that.
Exactly. Yeah, but that was interesting. I'm glad I tried it though. I do lots of like boxing workouts and I run a lot. I haven't taken bar in a while, but I remember taking it and I remember it being a lot of fun. So that's really cool that you do that.
Well, it's nice too, because I love boxing and running and all those high intensity inner workouts too. But I think like women especially, we do a lot of like cortisol, like stress hormone inducing workouts, so really to have that balance of it,
Yeah.
where like you have the bar and the yoga and just the recovery and the stretching is so effective too. Because we come from a generation of like cardio junkies, and it just doesn't need to be that way all the time, has to have a nice balance.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at our questions for you. And Josh, can I jump into one of the questions? Is that okay?
Yeah, 100%. Please.
Well, I'm looking at one of them and I automatically like, you're a very like positive person. And, of course exercising and stuff, like the good endorphins. And so that's what I love about exercise too. It just makes you way happier. Like, trust me, my friends, if they see me cranky, they're like, when's the last time you worked out? You need to go work
You need to
out.
work out. Yeah.
Talk to us when you're done. Right. And so, but anyway, just obviously aside from having just a positive attitude from working out, where does your positive attitude come from? And like, how does that help you connect with people? Like, I'm sure it's easy to talk to people when you're a happy person, obviously. So where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it stems from my parents, to be quite honest. They always instilled in me, like, yeah, you can have a bad day, but you need to come from a place of gratitude. And being positive, I don't think means that you're happy all the time and that nothing bothers you. But I do think that when you come from a place of gratitude and positivity, that when you hit those low moments, you can recover quickly or quicker than somebody who's not in a positive mind space. But movement obviously helps. I think I just read a quote the other day that was like, the alleviation of anxiety is action. So movement, do something, get outside, get some vitamin D. I also think like meditation also really helps. Journaling also really helps. Kind of having systems in place where you feel like you have a little bit of control, or like procedures and systems during your day to be able to be as productive as you can. And I think the productivity helps with positivity. And just, my loving family always supports me and lifts me up too. So I surround myself with people who uplift me, and I try to do the same for them.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, especially because, like you said, and if anybody doesn't follow you, I recommend just pausing real quick, go follow her, and then come back, because you're a
Thank
fun
you.
follow. And I even told my wife, she was asking me, "Hey, who's on the podcast tonight?" And I said, "Oh, it's Erin Salvetti." And I said, "She dances all the time. Like, I feel like your whole Instagram thing is dancing, but it does bring such a fun. See, even now, if you're not watching, switch over to video because she's dancing on the podcast. But it's a fun energy that you bring to social media. But I can imagine, because you have a family and you have a life off social media, it'd be really tough to be super positive online and then go to your family and then not have any of that and just be negative or worn down because of everything you're doing. So I imagine you have a pretty good ability to balance both your home life and your work. So how do you do that? Because for some people, that's a really tough thing to do. They put all their energy in one or the other, and then they can't quite find that balance. And some people have even told us there's really no such thing as a true balance. But how do you kind of manage all of those things and make sure that everybody's getting the most positive Erin possible?
It's definitely not perfect, and the systems, I have my off days too, of course. But I think that, just being mindful of the energy that you're giving out and making sure that you're protecting your peace and that you aren't expending all these energies into places that don't fill your cup or aren't serving you. I also think that like having systems in place, like if you think of your day in 3 different chunks, morning, noon, and night, and scheduling out what you're doing in those times so that you can expend your energy in the best way possible. So for instance, if you know that you need to get your workout in, you schedule it like an important meeting to yourself, right? You don't like go to the dentist and they just say like, oh, like Josh, just come at like, whenever you feel like it. It's like, no, like you set an appointment, 10:45, you're there at 10:40, hopefully, and you have your appointment. So I think that like having those systems in place that the things that you need to get done, scheduling out that way. And I'm still working on this. It's definitely a work in progress for me, but I think that when you've allotted those times when you have to give out, and then you can come in and you can really focus on your family, where your phone's put away and your computer's put away, and so you're not distracted by those things. I think that having those systems and really scheduling out what's important to you, like your to-do list, is great. I also think like having, just writing stuff down and then just like the action of like literally crossing it out, helps you feel so good and productive. So you feel happier in the moments where like you can just relax and be with your family.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it's such a tough thing too, especially with social media and social media and being such a big part of what you do. It's at our fingertips all the time, right? Like it's always with us and always available to us. And so I do feel like some people that we've talked to in the past, that's what the biggest struggle is. It's like it's always there, and you really do have to make that like you said, you have to schedule that time. Say, no, I'm going to put my phone away and really focus in on the things that are most important, which at that point is family, which is cool.
Right, exactly. Because and then your kids, it's like for us, like when we were growing up, we never had to deal with our parents on phones. It just didn't
Sure.
exist, right? And so now our kids are seeing us like distracted and like, I can tell myself, or I can hear myself when like my daughter's trying to talk to me and I'm like distracted and I'm like, okay, hon, one second, and then she says, Mom, can you get off your phone? And it's like, whoa, if she says get off your phone, then I'm like, okay, like I'm all ears, so I try to make it not ever get to that point. But it is what it is. And I think that as long as you're mindful of it and, just work through what works for you and your quality time with the people that care about you the most.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I've never heard anybody phrase it like that, because I have 2 young daughters, but I've never heard anybody say like our parents didn't have the same access that we do now as parents. That's a wild thought. I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit more, because that's a really interesting
Right?
point. Um,
Right.
Let me ask you this before. I know Deb has a ton of questions too, but since we're on the kids thing,
Yeah.
obviously you feature your kids on your social media a decent amount. You're out there dancing, which I'm completely jealous of, because I don't have any of those moves, and my daughter's gonna be very disappointed one day when they come to a daddy
Hey,
daughter dance with me.
there's a lot of dad daughter, duos online right now. You could get some practice in and be on social media in no days, like in no time.
I'll look into it. I'll do some research. We'll see. I gotta learn how to dance with them. But
Let's do it.
but
Yes.
anyways, because you have you have a decent following, you have a lot of people that follow you, and I know for some people there's this dilemma, I guess, whether or not you have your kids on social media, how much you have them on there, the ramifications, especially because people can be mean or cruel or crazy. So was that a difficult decision for you to just be okay with having your kids on social media and having them be a part of that massive part of your life, or was it a struggle? Like, what was that decision making like for you?
What's funny is like I didn't really have like the following when I think I started putting my kids online. And so if I'm being completely honest, I don't think I gave much thought to it until I started seeing other people talk about it. I'm like, ooh, ugh, like maybe that wasn't the right decision. But I will say that over the couple years that I've been doing this, I have really amazing followers and a great community that have followed me. And if anyone has anything to say, or if I felt there was negative energy coming towards my family or anything like that, I would pivot and stop that. But I have to say that there has been like zero negativity, like maybe 1 or 2 comments, probably directed more at me than my kids over the last like whatever however many years I've been doing this. So I feel like if it was super negative coming at me, I would definitely create boundaries around that.
Sure.
But so far, knock on wood, it's been a really positive experience. And my daughter like really loves, like if we've run into people in this, in the community or in the town or whatever, like, oh, I see you dancing on Instagram, and she really likes that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll kind of wait until if it takes a negative turn, then I'm always, open to pivoting and
Sure.
not showing my children as much. But it's been a positive experience for us so far.
That's awesome. I love hearing that because we always hate hearing the negative side. And that's why we started asking the question in the first place, because other people have been like, it's kind of been a challenge sometimes depending on what they do. And so I love the fact that you've been able to do that because it's fun. And it's cool that your daughter enjoys it too. So I think that's great.
I took a poll about what people come to my page to see, and hands down it was me dancing with my daughter. So
Oh, that's awesome.
gotta give the people what they want sometimes,
100%. That's what we try to do on this podcast. So we get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before you have a question, is that a dog next to you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is.
I thought it was a pillow. That dog is so quiet.
It moved.
Yeah.
You didn't see it. You didn't see it move, Josh?
Hi.
Oh, there, look at the pillows
Yeah.
moving.
Oh,
I had no
Yeah.
idea. This is like the
Yeah.
quietest dog ever. We have dogs on the podcast all the time that just walk through. That's like the most calm dog
a
ever.
doodle?
Oh, yeah.
wait,
This is Leo.
is it a doodle?
Hey, Leo.
He's a doodle. Yeah.
Very
Cute.
nice.
Oh,
Sorry, I just had to ask that. It was a
cute.
dumb question. I'm like,
Chill.
well, there's a pillow on the other side. And I saw the other thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a brown pillow.
That's his bed. He's supposed to be in the bed, but he's laying over here. So
It all makes sense now. Sorry, Leo. I didn't mean to disturb you. Go ahead, Deb.
Chill.
Yeah, he's my little shadow. So
Very cool. All right. I got that off my chest. Go ahead, Deb.
okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have so anyone, the fitness world and social media is really booming right now, I feel like. And I tried it for a hot minute a few years ago, and then I just kind of was like, no, this isn't for me. I'm a high school teacher, and then I did personal training on the side. But in terms of like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so in terms of social media, I have to be careful on social media because I'm a high school teacher and
Yes. What do you teach in high school?
teach PE.
I used to teach PE in high school.
You did? What?
Nice.
I did for like a really short stint of time when, so I was doing my student teaching like in 2009, I want to say. And then, then I did like a bunch of like long-term like teaching jobs, but not like a for sure, like a set thing. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and then we moved out of Sacramento. And then it was just like, okay, I got to be home with my daughter, but I never went back to PE, but I love high school PE.
You would have been great. Your energy and just like, especially the dancing. Like these days, these girls,
Yes.
these high school girls, they're like, Miss McCullough, make a TikTok with me, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like dance. Like I'll do it. Like I'll.
Oh, you will? Oh,
well,
good.
like I'll if they ask me to. They don't really, because they know I'm just kind of like, you don't want to see me dance. Like I'm athletic, not aesthetic. Like don't.
Yeah. Totally.
I'll do some push-ups and throw a softball at you, but like that's it. So,
Yeah.
They would love you. So you would have done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It made me feel like I think it kept me young. At least I knew like the terminology they were using back then, or I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's so cool. That's a nice little fun fact about you. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well then, so let's see. My question, I guess, is what kind of advice do you have for anyone that's listening that is like, I want to do that, and I've been wanting to do that, and I've been wanting to be out on social media in the fitness world and create my own program, because it can be kind of intimidating, even for myself back then when I tried it, and this was like 5 years ago, and I would look at other people's profiles and I would just kind of be like, okay, what should I be doing ish? And oh my God, I was just like, oh my God, these women are so like incredible. Like I don't even know how to create the content they create. So like how, I guess briefly, like if you could say, just give a little bit of advice of like, how did you start, and like, how did you navigate doing that and be as successful as you are?
Oh, well, thank you. I really feel that, number one, comparison is the thief of joy. So you got to just put yourself out there and do you. And I feel like the right people will find you. And still, even when you have like a larger following, like you still lose people, and you have to like tell yourself like, okay, those aren't my people, like the right community is going to surround you. So I think there's that. So if you're really passionate about it, I also think you have to find like a niche. So like, fitness obviously is huge. So what kind of fitness are you going to speak about? What are you going to do? And what are you going to show people how to do? So creating that, and then also making sure that you're adding value. So like, why would somebody want to follow you? What are you teaching them? What are you adding to their day? Are you making them laugh? Are you making them, be reflective? Are you making them move? Are you making them inspired? Have your value add. And then I just think it's consistency, really truly believe in what you're doing and what you're providing. Be consistent with it, because now it's like a consistency algorithm game. And so I think people are still trying to figure out, me included, on how to like best navigate that. So I think just consistency and like not trying to be somebody else. I think being your authentic self, finding your niche and being consistent, just showing up. I think, and of course, like if you look back on my like first post or even my first reels a couple years ago, like they're horrible, but like you just get better and better. And the more you put out, the better you get. And then you realize, oh, that person's using this light, or this person is using this app to edit their film, or you just learn different things by noticing and being inspired by other accounts too that you like. And so with that, like, even though comparison is a thief of joy, you can look at other accounts, not compare yourself, but see what they're doing and notice why you like them. And then, okay, well, how can I make that make sense to my account? Like, what can I make it like? Is it in a nice aesthetic area? Are they having a message? Is it their outfits? Is it their music? Think about what you like about it, what ties you in, what draws you in, and then try to recreate that in your own voice.
Love it. That's really good advice. Yeah, because
Okay.
like you just get in your, if you're, people just get in their head and they're just like, you know where to start.
Totally. And same here, because it's like, oh, well, what if I say this? And then I like, you lose followers. But it's like, I don't know, like as long as you're just being true to yourself and you just keep showing up, like just like with everything, it's like you just keep showing up. You can't show up. I mean, I'm sure you're an amazing teacher, much better than you were your very first day of high school PE, right? It's like you've grown and you've evolved and you just keep showing up to work. It's just the same type of thing, but it's like this like extra added pressure that you're putting on yourself. So you can back away from it. But, if you're truly passionate about it, then go for it. Keep showing up.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And I wanted to go back because you mentioned, a couple of times you've mentioned like if someone unfollows you, that's just not part of your tribe, right? That's not part of the people that are gonna stick with you anyway. So it's fine if they want to go find something else. That's great. And so obviously it's pretty obvious to me, at least from following you as long as we have, like community is geez, it's important to you. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a really important thing to you, right? And so, obviously, as you start gaining a greater following, there's a bigger community. But then you probably get to a certain point where it's like, oh my gosh, there are so many people, and you haven't mentioned it. If you go out to the store, there's a chance that someone could recognize you from one of your TikToks or one of your Instagram posts. Like, at what point did you start feeling like really comfortable with that? Because I imagine the first time it's like, how does this person know me? Like they're just saying hi to me. Like, I don't know you. And so, oh, from social media. Like, at what point did you start really feeling comfortable and at peace with that? And like, do you enjoy it, or is there like a burden that comes with that?
Oh no, I love it. I think it's hilarious. And sometimes it takes people like a second to figure it out. Like, wait, how do I know you?
They're just staring
Or
at
what's
you.
really funny is like they'll see my husband in the grocery store and they'll be like, I know this is weird, but I follow your wife and
That's funny. She's like, she's here
or
somewhere. I
like,
know it.
yeah, or like my daughter, went to a couple different summer camps this summer, and like she'd say, people would come to like, I think like, do I know you? Or then the mom would put it together and be like, oh my gosh, I went up to your daughter being like, I think I know you. And then I couldn't figure out how, but yeah, it's actually funny because people feel almost like bad when they say it. They're like, I know this sounds really weird and creepy, but I follow you on social media. I'm like, no, thank you so much for following. It's amazing. And thank you for saying so.
Yeah.
I think people like get self-conscious, like they're being like creepy or something. And it's definitely not creepy. Like, I think it's amazing because I would rather have them say something than not, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Because like I said, there's probably been a ton of situations where people are just like staring at you. And like, why they're staring at you, but they don't say it. And it's like, well, that person just stared at me for 15 minutes in the grocery store. And I don't they didn't say anything. That becomes awkward.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. I guess now that I think about it, I have had some of those happen, but yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, just go ahead and say
Thanks
something,
for putting it
people.
together, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. My best friend, her name is also Deb. But anyway,
Oh my
we
gosh.
we were in Tahoe and she saw someone standing in line at this coffee shop that we were at, and she's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh my God, I follow her on Instagram. I really want to say hi. I listened to her podcast. It was this ultra runner, and she was up in Tahoe about to do a run. And so I was like, go say hi. And she's like, no, that's weird. I'm like, no, seriously, go say hi, because you've been inspired by her story. And so she went up to her, and that girl was so nice, was so like appreciative, like, yeah. And it was, and they took a picture together. And so I was like, I told you, just go say hi. Like, they're not that's what they do. That's what they want to share, that it's okay.
Yeah. Because you kind of just put it out into outer space, there's like black hole of social media, and like, are people watching it? I mean, I guess you can see on your insights if people are watching it or not, but like still, like, to make that connection with people is like, that's invaluable. That's exactly why you do it, I feel like, for me.
Yeah, well,
When
that's the reaction we got from her too.
Yeah.
So it's just kind
Yeah.
of what you're saying, and then what happened with my friend taking a picture with the gal that she was following. So anyway,
Yeah, no, I love it. And also too, going back to like those workouts that I did for those 16 weeks. I mean, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday without fail at 9:30. And I gained a lot of like local followers too. And so a lot of like people will be like, oh my gosh, like I took your workouts, and like they'll tell me their screen name. And like if they were on there, like I'll recognize their screen, like, oh, I was, hot wife, or what was she said? I'm like, fireman's hot wife. I'm like, oh my God, I totally remember like fireman's hot wife on my Instagram live feed, of course, so I think it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure it's probably such a huge relief too. Like when they do take that step and they approach you and say, hey, I follow you. Thank you so much for your content. When they realize that you're a really cool person and really nice, like that's gotta be such a relief. Cause I mean, like, I think we've all been there before. You meet someone that you've seen from a distance and they don't meet that expectation. Like, dang, this, and maybe that's part of the fear of why people don't want to go up to people in your position. Cause like, if they do let me down, like I'd rather just let the mirage live on
Totally.
and not know, you don't want to meet your heroes. And so, but like I said, it's got to be such a relief for them when they do approach you and you are so kind and friendly. It's got to be a fun thing for them. So,
well, thank you. I feel like you're putting me up on a pedestal, but I appreciate it, and thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
well, I don't have to. I feel like you do a good job of everything you do. So and that's why we have you on the podcast, is because you're such a positive influence on social media. So, and in our own backyard. So, we're just really thankful that you were willing to come on our show. I know we got to wrap it up here in a couple of minutes. Deb, did you have any final thoughts before we let Erin go on with the rest of her life?
I have a quick random question.
Yeah, of course.
The dance, the TikTok or the reels, the dances that you make, how many shots does it take you? Because I feel like it would take
question.
like 10, 12, 20 different shots.
Yeah, depending on what it is, sometimes it takes a lot. But I know now with my 11-year-old, it's like, it's got to be like, she's got like 3 or 4 times max, and then she's like over it, So I now know how to go quickly. So, it can be done pretty quickly now. I think we can turn them out, and like we can probably do like maybe like at least 2, and then maybe like no more than 5.
Okay. That's still pretty good. I mean, I feel like I'd be doing them all day, especially if it has to do with dancing and like the coordination and the music and stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, one time I did it with my younger sister, and it was like a really fast, like, like hit the elbows, and like it was really quick and we probably did it like 10 times and like practiced like a ton of times. We were sweating at the end of it. And we did it so many times. The next day we had literally bruises on our arms, like on our shins. Like she fell over, like twisted her ankle. Like it doesn't always end pretty, but we get the shot. We get it.
Jesus, a contact sport.
It was, yeah. Man. But it's fun. Creates a memory.
That's good. Hey, Deb, I'm glad you asked that question too, because one of your recent posts, I'm not sure when you posted this, Erin, but and I'm almost hesitant to even say this because we're trying to get you out of here. But Deb loves mermaids.
I was gonna say, that was so good.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
In your pool, you did the mermaid thing. I'm like, oh, my co-host is gonna love this. So I'm glad you're coming on the show.
I watched it,
Mhm.
and that was like, I wonder how long I did. Like that was timed perfectly.
It was
Twice.
pretty good.
Twice.
Oh, not
That was
bad.
twice.
Wow.
And that's my brother and my daughter jumping off the rock behind me, and that's in my parents' pool.
That is so cool.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that was
There we got
awesome.
a shout out. Very nice. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was impressive. It was impressive. And two takes. That's pretty good. We've done promo stuff for this podcast and it takes us like 15. It's tough.
It's hard though, because you stumble, like, luckily, you don't have to say anything words, or there wasn't too much choreography in that one. So that was an easy one.
Well, anyways, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, this is gonna be a perfect connection on our podcast because we've had way too many conversations about mermaids here, which I'm not gonna, drag you through.
Okay. Okay. Is that your favorite movie, Deb? Little Mermaid or Splash or?
Yeah.
I forgot about Splash. Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
love
just
it.
it's one of many. Oh yes, it's a thing. I have scales back here behind my ear. It's
I
yeah.
love it. Isn't there like a documentary about like mer people?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
Here we
Have you
go.
watched it, I'm assuming?
I've watched the first 2 episodes and I just haven't been back to it yet, but I can't tell you how many people are like, "Oh my God, look at this documentary. You have to watch it." But yeah, I did dabble into it. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
It was very
Yeah. I feel like my daughter like still believes in like mermaids, and like she doesn't really want to not, She's like, Mom, like, could they be real? You know?
saying.
Oh, that's not even a
Because
question here.
pirates,
Dev's like
there were
100% they will.
pirates,
Yeah.
right? So maybe mermaids and pirates live together.
That's all I'm saying. I'm glad your daughter and I think alike.
Totally.
Tell her it's not just her that
Okay. I will. She'll be really happy to hear that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. That's usually how this conversation goes. It's like, hey, my daughter loves mermaids. Like, oh, me too. And that's like,
Yeah.
it's like, tell your daughter that you have a friend here that also believes in
Yeah.
mermaids.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love the scales too. That's fun.
Yeah, I have a mermaid on my back and we won't go there, but it's
Wow,
just
it's a whole thing.
the whole thing.
It's a whole thing. You'll be episode 145 for us, and it's
Okay.
basically come up 145 times. So we've
Okay.
a lot of mermaid talk. So you were a perfect guest to have on this show.
Oh, wonderful.
just for that one video. So
I love it.
well, this has been a lot of fun, Erin. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Where can people, if they're not already following you, where can they connect with you? Where can they follow you on all of the great things you're doing, websites, apps, all that stuff?
Yeah, so you can follow me at Erin Salvetti. It's Erin with an E. And they can also follow me or find my workouts on erinsalvetti.com. And on there's a link to get 7 days for free. Then I also have Bright Side Up retreats on Instagram, and also Bright Side Up Retreat, Bright Side Up Retreat on Instagram and brightsideupretreat.com. And that's our women's wellness retreat weekend that we just had in August, but we've gotten so much interest from this last weekend that we've already started planning for February of 2024. So
Awesome. Very cool.
yeah, we just put out the wait list for that retreat. So lots of fun stuff happening. And then also, if you're local, I'm doing in conjunction or in partnership with Galleria Mall and Kaiser Permanente, doing a second annual, we did this last year, for Yoga Month all through the month of September, starting September 6th, I want to say. Every Friday at 9:00 for 5 weeks, we'll do free yoga classes at the mall. So it's like pretty cool because you get to go into the mall before it opens. We have like a full experience with always like really cool swag that they are given each and every week. It's just a really fun time, and that begins September 6th.
Nice.
Awesome. So basically, if you can't find Erin, you are not trying hard enough. So she is everywhere. So get involved with what she's doing. She's doing some awesome things. And at the very least, make sure you follow her on Instagram, because it is we're not just saying it because you're on the show, but it is a really fun, positive feel that you've created. And I think everybody could use a little bit more of that in their life.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. And again, taking your time to chat with us, and good luck with everything coming up.
Thank you. Same to you guys. This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.